Most people will watch this video and stay exactly the same. Not because they didn't understand it, not because they are not capable, but because they refuse to kill the version of themselves that feels safe. Let that sink in. You've been trained your entire life to believe in improvement. Work harder. Stay disciplined. Fix your habits. Stay positive. Keep going. But Niccolò Machiavelli never believed in improvement. He believed in something far more dangerous: replacement. Because improvement keeps your foundation the same, and if the foundation is average, everything you build on top of it will still collapse into average. Here's the truth no one tells you. The person you are right now is perfectly designed to stay exactly where you are. Your reactions, predictable. Your emotions, readable. Your habits, conditioned. Your decisions, influenced before you even realize you've made them. And that is why you can be controlled. People don't control you with force. They control you through patterns, through expectations, through the version of you that you keep repeating every single day. This video is not here to motivate you. Motivation is weak. It fades. It lies to you. This video is here to confront you. Because if you actually follow what I'm about to show you, you will not recognize yourself anymore, and neither will the people around you. The version of you they're comfortable with? Gone. The version of you that reacts, explains, seeks approval, and stays predictable? Gone. This is not growth. This is psychological reconstruction. And reconstruction is violent. It requires destruction first. You don't become powerful by adding more to who you are. You become powerful by removing everything that makes you easy to control. And it starts with a decision, a brutal one. You decide that the old version of you is no longer allowed to exist. No negotiations, no gradual change, no "I'll start tomorrow." You end it, right here, right now, because average doesn't leave slowly. It survives on hesitation. So before we go any further, understand this. If you continue watching, you are stepping into a version of yourself that most people will never dare to become. Cold, focused, unreadable, controlled, not for attention, not for approval, but for power. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I erase the old. Number 1, kill your script. From the moment you were born, a script was handed to you, not written by you, not chosen by you, but installed into you. Your family gave you lines, your environment shaped your tone, your failures edited your confidence, and your past became the excuse you keep repeating. I'm just not that kind of person. I've always been like this. I'm not good at that. Listen carefully. Those are not truths. Those are programmed responses. Every time you say, "This is just who I am," you are reading from a script that someone else wrote, a script designed to keep you predictable, easy to understand, easy to manage, and predictable people are the easiest to control. Because once someone knows how you react, they don't need to force you. They can anticipate you. They can guide you. They can position you without you ever realizing it. That's how average lives are maintained. Not through weakness, but through repetition. You keep thinking you're making decisions, but in reality, you're following patterns built from your past. You get angry the same way. You hesitate the same way. You doubt yourself the same way. You quit the same way. And every time it happens, your brain whispers, "See? This is just who you are." Not, That's who you've been trained to be. There is a difference. And the moment you understand that difference, you gain power. Because if your identity was built, it can be destroyed. Right now, most people are prisoners of memory. They look at what they've done before and use it to justify what they do next. That is the trap. They carry their past like a script they are obligated to follow. But a strategist does something different. He breaks the connection. He stops asking, "What would I normally do?" and starts asking, "What serves me now?" That one shift changes everything. Because now you're no longer reacting from history. You are deciding from intention. Let me make this clear. Your past has no authority over your next move. None. It only has power if you keep referencing it. So here's what you do. You interrupt the pattern. When you feel the usual reaction rising, pause. When you feel the familiar hesitation, move anyway. When your mind tells you to stay in your comfort, step outside it deliberately. You don't negotiate with your old self. You override it. That's how you kill the script. Not by thinking differently, by acting differently before your mind can stop you. This will feel unnatural. Good. That's how you know it's working. Because the old version of you is losing control. And here's the part most people won't accept. You don't find yourself. You create yourself. Decision by decision, action by action. Not based on who you were, but based on who you choose to become. This is the Machiavellian shift. You are not your history, you are your decisions. And once you fully accept that, you become dangerous, not to others, but to the limitations that once controlled you. So from this moment forward, stop explaining yourself using your past. Stop defending your patterns. Stop justifying your weaknesses. They are not permanent. They are habits. And habits can be replaced. Right now, I want you to lock this in. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I rewrite myself. Number 2, refuse the role. Every environment you step into is already prepared for you, not physically, but psychologically. There is an invisible expectation waiting the moment you arrive. People don't just see you, they categorize you. Quiet one, funny one, reliable one, nice one, weak one, leader, follower, safe, harmless, predictable. And without realizing it, you start adjusting your behavior to fit that label. You speak the way they expect. You react the way they recognize. You stay inside the boundaries they have silently placed around you. This is how roles are formed, not through force, but through subtle pressure, through repeated interaction, through the desire to belong without conflict. And once you accept a role, even unconsciously, you begin performing it. You are no longer acting from freedom. You are acting from expectation. That is where power disappears. Because the moment people can define you, they can anticipate you. And when they can anticipate you, they can control the situation around you. They know what to say to trigger you. They know how far they can push you. They know how you will respond before you even open your mouth. That is not strength. That is conditioning. Most people spend their entire lives playing a character they never consciously chose. They think they are being themselves, but in reality, they are being what is easiest for others to accept. That is why they stay stuck, because growth requires breaking expectation, not maintaining it. The moment you refuse the role, everything changes. People become uncertain, their predictions fail, their comfort with you starts to disappear, And that discomfort is where your control begins. You don't need to dominate loudly. You don't need to prove anything. You simply stop being consistent in the way they expect. You pause before responding instead of reacting instantly. You say less when they expect more. You remain calm when they expect emotion. You walk away when they expect you to stay engaged. These small disruptions create a powerful shift, because now they cannot read the pattern anymore, and when the pattern disappears, so does their ability to manage you. Silence becomes your advantage. Observation becomes your weapon. While others rush to fill space with words, you let the silence stretch. While others try to impress, you study. While others reveal their thoughts, you collect information. This is how influence is built without effort. Because the one who speaks less is often seen as the one who knows more. The one who reacts less is often seen as the one who feels nothing. And the one who feels nothing cannot be easily manipulated. Understand this clearly. Refusing the role does not mean becoming aggressive or rebellious for no reason. It means becoming intentional. You choose when to engage. You choose how to respond. You choose what parts of yourself are visible. You are no longer performing for approval. You are positioning for advantage. This is the shift most people fear, because it removes the safety of being liked by everyone. But being liked has never been power. It has always been a leash. The more you need it, the easier you are to guide. So you cut it, quietly, without announcement, without explanation. You stop trying to fit into expectations that limit you. You stop playing characters that shrink you. You become undefined. And an undefined person is unpredictable. An unpredictable person is difficult to control. That is where real strength begins. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I reject all roles. Number 3. Sever your emotional attachments. Attachment is the invisible chain most people never notice, yet it controls almost every decision they make. It is not just about people or relationships, it goes deeper than that. It connects to outcomes, opinions, validation, recognition, and the need to be understood. The moment you become emotionally tied to any of these, you hand over leverage without realizing it, because now your state of mind depends on something outside your control. If it goes your way, you feel stable. If it doesn't, you react. That reaction is the opening others use to influence you. This is how manipulation works at a high level, not through force, but through dependency. If someone knows what you need, they know how to move you. If someone understands what you fear losing, they understand how to pressure you. And most people are full of these pressure points. They need approval, so they adjust their behavior to get it. They need agreement, so they soften their truth to avoid conflict. They need recognition, so they perform instead of execute. Every need becomes a handle that can be pulled. Every attachment becomes a weakness that can be exploited. This is why average lives feel unstable. They are built on things that can be taken away, delayed, or denied. A strategist sees this clearly and makes a different decision. He removes the need entirely, not in a careless or destructive way, but in a controlled and intentional way. He trains himself to operate without emotional dependence on outcomes. He does the work without needing immediate results. He moves without needing others to approve. He speaks without needing to be understood. That is where stability is created, because now no external factor can shake his internal state. Think about what that means in real situations. When someone tries to provoke you, there is no reaction to feed on. When someone withholds validation, there is no hunger to exploit. When something does not go as planned, there is no panic to cloud your judgment. You remain steady, and that steadiness becomes power, because while others are reacting emotionally, you are calculating strategically. While others are rushing to fix how they feel, you are focused on what actually works. Detachment sharpens your thinking. It removes noise. It removes urgency that is based on fear. It allows you to see situations as they are, not as you wish them to be. This is why the principle is simple but difficult to accept. Anything you cannot walk away from has control over you. It does not matter what it is: a person, a goal, a reputation, an image, a result. If losing it creates instability in you, then it owns a part of you, and anything that owns a part of you can be used against you. So the goal is not to avoid everything. The goal is to hold everything lightly. You engage, but you are not dependent. You care, but you are not controlled. You pursue, but you are not attached. This creates a silent advantage that most people cannot understand. You cannot be rushed because you do not need immediate outcomes. You cannot be pressured because you are not afraid of losing something. You cannot be manipulated because there is nothing emotional to grab onto. That is what makes you dangerous in a strategic sense. You move freely while others are bound by invisible chains. And the moment you reach this state, your decisions become cleaner, faster, and more precise. You stop chasing. You start choosing. You stop reacting. You start directing. This is the shift that separates controlled individuals from those who control their environment. Number 4. Stop broadcasting your intentions. Most people destroy their own momentum before they even begin, and they do it with their mouth. The moment they form a plan, they feel an urge to announce it. They tell friends, they hint at it in conversations, they post about it. They talk as if progress has already started. It feels productive. It feels like movement, but it is an illusion that quietly weakens execution. Because the second you speak your intentions out loud, you expose them to forces you cannot control. You invite opinions from people who do not understand your direction. You open the door to doubt, judgment, and unnecessary attention. Some will question you, some will discourage you, and some will pretend to support you while silently hoping you fail. None of that helps you move forward. It creates friction where there should be focus. It divides your attention between doing the work and managing reactions. That alone is enough to slow you down, but there is something even more dangerous happening beneath the surface. When you talk about your goals, your brain releases a false sense of progress. It rewards you for speaking as if you have already taken action. That small hit of satisfaction reduces the urgency to actually follow through. You feel like you have started, even though nothing has been done. This is why so many people stay stuck in cycles of planning and announcing without ever producing results. They mistake expression for execution. A strategist operates differently. He understands that information is not something to distribute freely. It is something to control. Every detail you reveal about your direction becomes a potential point of interference. The less people know, the less they can affect. Silence is not emptiness. It is protection. It keeps your ideas in their purest form, untouched by outside influence. It keeps your focus sharp because there is no audience to perform for. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are not trying to prove anything. You are simply building, quietly, precisely, without distraction. This creates a different kind of pressure, not the pressure of expectations from others, but the pressure of your own standard. And that pressure forces execution. Because there is no release through talking, the only release comes from results. You begin to understand a powerful rule: never show the move before it is made. Because once people see your direction, they can position themselves around it. They can compete, interfere, or prepare for what you're about to do. But when your actions come without warning, they arrive with impact. They create surprise. They shift perception instantly. People go from underestimating you to trying to understand you, and by then, you are already ahead. Let them misunderstand you. Let them assume you are doing nothing. Let them think you are stuck, distracted, or unfocused. Their assumptions become your advantage, because while they are relaxed, you are building. While they are talking, you are moving. While they are watching others, no one is watching you. That is where real progress happens, away from noise, away from attention, away from interference. You do not need validation during the process. You need results at the end, and results speak in a way that explanations never can. They do not ask for belief. They force recognition. This is how control is maintained, not by hiding out of fear, but by choosing what is revealed and when it is revealed. You decide what people see. You decide what they know. You decide when the outcome is visible. That level of control changes everything, because now your path is yours alone. No outside voice can redirect it. No external pressure can rush it. It moves at your pace, under your rules. That is power in its quietest form. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I move in silence. Number 5. Train in isolation. Most people want transformation to be seen. They want witnesses, reactions, applause, acknowledgement. They want someone to notice the effort, to validate the struggle, to confirm that they are becoming something more. And because of that, they build their progress in public. They share every step, every attempt, every small improvement, hoping it will be recognized. But what they don't realize is that visibility creates distortion. The moment your effort becomes something others can see, it changes how you approach it. You begin to perform instead of develop. You focus on what looks impressive instead of what actually builds skill. You choose actions that gain attention rather than actions that create depth. And slowly, without noticing, your growth becomes shallow. It becomes dependent on feedback. It becomes tied to how others respond. That is not strength. That is dependence in a different form. Real transformation does not need an audience. In fact, it rejects one. Because the strongest version of you is built in a place where no one is watching, No one is praising and no one is expecting anything. This is what can be called your private training ground, a space where there is no external reward, no validation, no distraction, just you and the standard you choose to hold. In that environment, your focus becomes sharper, your discipline becomes real. You're not acting for recognition, so every action must serve a purpose. There is no shortcut through appearance. There is no way to fake progress. Either you are improving or you are not. That level of honesty forces a different kind of effort. It removes the comfort of external approval and replaces it with internal accountability. You begin to understand that true skill is built through repetition that no one sees, through mistakes that no one applauds, through correction that no one encourages. This is where most people quit, because there is nothing to feed their ego. There is no immediate reward, no signal that they are on the right path, just silence. But that silence is what separates those who remain average from those who become exceptional. Because in silence, you are free from influence. No opinions can alter your direction. No expectations can limit your approach. You can experiment, fail, adjust, and refine without pressure. You can focus entirely on what works instead of what looks good. Over time, this creates depth that cannot be copied. It creates ability that cannot be faked. And when you finally step out of that isolation, the results speak with a force that surprises everyone. People see the outcome, but they never saw the process. They assume it happened quickly because they were not there for the slow, hidden build. That becomes your advantage. Because while others were seeking attention, you were building substance. While others were announcing progress, you were creating results. And now the gap between you and them is undeniable. This is why you must protect your private work. Do not expose it early. Do not dilute it with unnecessary attention. Let it grow in silence until it is strong enough to stand on its own. Then, and only then, do you reveal it. Not for approval, but as a statement, as proof of what disciplined isolation can produce. That is how you create impact without explanation. That is how you build something real. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I build in silence. Number 6. Think in systems. Most people move through life reacting to what happens in front of them. Something goes wrong, they respond. Something goes right, they celebrate. Something changes, they adjust. Everything is based on events, surface-level moments that seem important, but are actually just the visible result of something deeper. This is why they stay trapped in cycles, because when you only react to events, you are always late. You are dealing with consequences instead of causes. You are solving problems after they appear instead of preventing them before they form. And that keeps you in a constant state of reaction, never control. A strategist operates on a completely different level. He does not focus on the event itself. He looks for the structure behind it, the pattern that keeps repeating, the mechanism that produces the same type of outcome again and again, because once you understand the system, you no longer need to chase individual situations. You can influence the entire process that creates them. Think about behavior. Most people judge actions. Someone says something disrespectful, they react to the words. Someone ignores them, they react to the silence. But a system thinker asks a different question. What caused this behavior? What pattern is this person following? What triggers this response? When you start seeing these layers, you gain clarity that others do not have. You stop taking things personally. You stop reacting emotionally. Because you understand that what you are seeing is not random. It is structured. It follows a pattern, and patterns can be predicted. This applies to everything: success, failure, influence, relationships, opportunities. They are not isolated events. They are outputs of systems. If someone consistently fails, it is not bad luck. It is a flawed system of thinking, decision-making, and behavior. If someone consistently succeeds, it is not magic. It is a system that produces results over time. Once you see this, your focus shifts completely. You stop asking, "How do I fix this one problem?" and start asking, "What system is creating this problem?" That question changes your approach, because instead of patching symptoms, you redesign the structure, and when the structure changes, the outcomes follow automatically. This is where real power begins, because now you are not just responding to life, you are shaping it. You begin to recognize patterns before they fully appear. You notice small signals that others ignore: a shift in tone, a repeated behavior, a subtle inconsistency. These are early indicators of what is coming next. While others are surprised, you are prepared. While others are reacting, you are already adjusting. This creates a massive advantage, not because you're smarter, but because you're looking deeper. You're not distracted by what is obvious. You're focused on what is underlying. Over time, this way of thinking becomes automatic. You start to see connections everywhere. You understand how small decisions lead to larger outcomes. You recognize how environments shape behavior. You notice how patterns repeat across different situations, and with that awareness, you gain control over your own direction. Because you are no longer guessing, you are operating with insight. This also changes how you build your own life. You stop relying on motivation or temporary effort. You design systems that produce consistent results. You create structures that support your goals without constant struggle. You remove friction where it slows you down and add pressure where it pushes you forward. Everything becomes intentional. Everything serves a purpose. That is the difference between those who stay average and those who rise above it. Average minds react to events. Strategic minds design systems. One is always behind, the other is always ahead. From this moment forward, train yourself to look beyond what is happening and focus on why it is happening. That shift will separate you from the majority. Number 7. Guard your access. Your life is not controlled by time alone. It is controlled by access. Who can reach you? Who can interrupt you? Who can influence your attention? And who is allowed into your mental space? Most people never think about this, so they leave their access completely open. Anyone can call them, message them, demand their time, shift their focus, or pull them into unnecessary conversations. And every time that happens, something important is taken from them. Not just minutes, but clarity, direction, and control. Because attention is not unlimited, energy is not endless. Every interaction costs something, even if you don't notice it immediately. Weak individuals treat access like it has no value. They respond to everything. They entertain everyone. They make themselves available without question. They believe this makes them likable, approachable, or connected. But in reality, it makes them diluted. Their focus is scattered. Their priorities are constantly interrupted. Their standards slowly drop to match the level of what they allow around them. This is how average is maintained, not through lack of effort, but through lack of boundaries. A strategist understands that access is a privilege, not a right. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves a place in your environment. And once you accept that, you begin to filter everything. You stop answering immediately. You stop explaining your absence. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your focus. You become selective, and that selectiveness changes your entire life. Because now, your energy is directed only toward what matters. You are no longer reacting to every distraction. You are choosing where your attention goes. That alone creates a massive shift in control. Think about how many decisions you make in a day that are influenced by others. A message changes your mood. A conversation redirects your focus. A request pulls you away from something important. These small interruptions seem harmless, but they add up. They break your momentum. They weaken your discipline. They keep you in a constant state of reaction. And the more accessible you are, the more this happens. So you reverse it. You limit availability. You reduce unnecessary communication. You create distance where it is needed. Not out of arrogance, but out of strategy. Because you understand that what you allow around you shapes how you think, how you act, and what you become. This also applies to people. Not everyone should have the same level of access to you. Some belong at a distance. Some should be removed completely. And the key is to do this quietly. No announcements, no explanations, no drama. You simply adjust your availability and your behavior. You stop engaging where there is no value. You stop investing where there is no return. Over time, those who do not align with your standard naturally fade out. And what remains is an environment that supports your direction instead of pulling you away from it. This is how you protect your growth. This is how you maintain focus in a world full of distraction, because you are no longer open to everything. You are controlled, intentional, and precise. And here is the truth most people avoid. Every time you say yes to something that does not serve you, you are saying no to something that does. Every moment you give away without thought is a moment you cannot get back. So you become disciplined with your access. You treat it like a resource that must be protected because it is directly connected to your results. The more you guard it, the more control you gain over your direction, and the less others can interfere with your progress. This is not about isolation. It is about selection. Choosing what enters your space and what stays out. That choice defines everything. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my access. Number 8. Become unreadable. Most people expose themselves without saying a single word. Their face reacts, their tone shifts, their body gives signals, and their emotions leak through every small movement. They think they are in control, but anyone paying attention can read them like an open page. Excitement shows when they see an opportunity. Frustration appears when things don't go their way. Insecurity surfaces when they feel judged. All of these reactions create a pattern, and once that pattern is visible, it becomes predictable. Predictability is the weakness that most people never notice. Because when someone can read you, they don't need to guess your next move. They already know it. They know when to push, when to pull back, when to challenge, and when to manipulate. They understand your emotional triggers better than you do. And the more expressive you are without control, the easier it becomes for them to guide your behavior. This is why being expressive without awareness is not strength. It is exposure. It gives others information they can use against you. A strategist understands that control is not just about actions. It is about expression. What you show, what you hide, and what you allow others to interpret. You do not need to suppress everything, but you must regulate it. You must decide what is visible and what is not. This creates uncertainty for others, and uncertainty removes their ability to predict you. When your reactions are controlled, your presence becomes difficult to read. People cannot tell what you are thinking. They cannot measure how something affects you. They cannot determine your next move based on your current state. That lack of clarity forces them into a defensive position. Because now they are the ones guessing. They are the ones uncertain. And that shift alone changes the dynamic completely. You do not need to dominate loudly to gain control. You create influence by limiting what others can understand about you. Silence becomes more powerful than explanation. Stillness becomes more powerful than reaction. A calm expression in a tense moment sends a stronger message than words ever could. It signals control, discipline, and awareness. And most people are not used to facing that. They expect reactions. They rely on them. When those reactions disappear, they lose their advantage. Becoming unreadable is not about being cold for the sake of it. It is about being precise. You show what is necessary, nothing more. You respond when it serves a purpose, not when emotion pushes you. You maintain a steady presence regardless of the situation. That consistency in control creates unpredictability in perception, because while your internal state may change, your external signals do not reveal it. This forces others to deal with you differently. They become cautious. They hesitate. They think twice before acting because they cannot calculate your response. This is where quiet dominance begins, not through force, but through control of information. The less people can read you, the less they can influence you. Over time, this becomes a habit. You stop reacting instantly. You observe first. You process before expressing. You choose your response instead of releasing it automatically. That gap between stimulus and response becomes your power. Because in that gap, you decide. And once you are deciding instead of reacting, you are no longer easy to control. You are operating on your own terms. That is the goal, not to hide who you are, but to control how and when it is revealed. That level of discipline separates those who are constantly influenced from those who influence the environment around them. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I reveal nothing. Now you see it. Not as motivation, not as theory, but as a mirror. At this point, you have two choices. You can walk away from this video Carry on with the same patterns, the same reactions, the same identity that has been quietly controlling your life this entire time. Or you can do something most people will never have the discipline to do. You can end that version of yourself. Not improve it, not adjust it, not slowly fix it over time. End it, because the truth is simple, and most people avoid it. You don't rise by becoming a better version of who you are. You rise by becoming someone completely different. Colder in your thinking, sharper in your decisions, more controlled in your actions, more selective in what you allow. Not cruel, but unreachable to manipulation. This is what Niccolò Machiavelli understood long before modern self-help ever existed. Power does not come from effort alone. It comes from structure, from awareness, from control over yourself first, before anything else. And now you have that awareness. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it? Before you leave, take 1 second. If this video challenged the way you think, if it made you uncomfortable in a way that felt real, then don't just move on silently. Like the video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. And subscribe to the channel, because this is where you come to rebuild yourself, not entertain yourself. Now decide this. Which part of you needs to die first? The one that seeks approval? The one that reacts without thinking? The one that explains itself to everyone? Or the one that stays predictable because it feels safe? Choose it, and once you know the answer, don't wait. Because average doesn't disappear with time. It disappears the moment you stop feeding it.